Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm here with another author interview, and today I have Mr. Geoff Herbach, the author of Stupid Fast, Cracking the Bell, Nothing Special, I'm with the Stupid, and a lot of other books. That his books have won multiple awards. I'm a huge fan. Thank you so much, Mr. Herbach, for coming on.
Yeah, Rick, I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course, thank you so much. So I guess let's just get right to it. I guess I'll start with some broader questions, then move on to Stupid Fast in general. But
Okay.
what do you think really convinced you to become an author or just start writing in general? What made you think, hey, I'm gonna start writing, maybe do this as a career?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, I was sort of split between either I would become a professional football player. Um, I want to look at me, it was probably not going to happen. Or B, I wanted to be a writer. So I was fairly sure I'd be a pro football player, but I got hit so hard in high school once that I thought, this high school kid can make me think I'm gonna die. Maybe writing is a better pursuit. And I was a huge reader, and I wrote stories all the time. It really wasn't though until I was in college and writing fairly seriously that I thought, I think I'm kind of good at this. And then it took years to be published and work. But yeah, it's something I think, I mean, kids kind of know, like if you get an assignment when you're in fourth grade to write a story and you're like, yeah, that's, you're kind of hardwired to do it. And I always loved writing.
Yeah. What position did you play football?
I was a running back.
You're running back?
Yeah.
No, believe it or not, I'm not the biggest. I do also play football.
Okay.
I play wide receiver, so that's awesome. But yeah, I mean, I
can see you're a KC fan, which is a good place to be these days, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a tough sports here though for me. Suns fan as well. Didn't go too well yesterday, but
yeah.
I
grew up in Wisconsin, so the Bucks win was okay. I mean, I'm really a Timberwolves fan, which means every year is very hard on me.
I like the Timberwolves as well. I was born in Minnesota, so
you were okay.
I like them as well, but yeah, I mean, it's been tough, but it's fun. It's fun to play football down in Missouri.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Is it true you're also a teacher?
I'm a professor, an English professor in southern Minnesota. So I teach primarily creative writing, a little bit of just like straight lit, but mostly fiction and screenwriting. Yeah.
What gave you what was your idea to write Stupid Fast?
Yeah, it's I mean, it's pretty weird. So the first book that I wrote was just sort of like straight lit for adults. And I was also writing comedy, which was much faster. Like my friends and I would sit around and we would write jokes in the afternoon and that night go and perform them. And that was pretty satisfying, and I couldn't believe imagine like the dumbest joke you would tell in 7th grade sitting at the lunch table.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I was writing, and people were paying me money for it. And so it seemed pretty awesome. But right about that time, I had a son who he'd been a big fantasy reader and like read and read and read, and all of a sudden just quit. And I could not get him to read a book. And I was kind of thinking maybe I'm just going to do comedy because it's much faster and books, take forever. But my son was like, books don't apply to me. I was like, what are you talking about? Books don't apply. Books are everything, right?
Yeah.
And so I thought, okay, I think I'm going to try to write a book that maybe he would like. And so there's going to be sports in it, and there's going to be music in it. And, he was clearly like, we would, go to Target shopping, and he would clearly be checking girls out and
Yeah.
stuff. Like maybe I'll try to wrap some of that in it. And then, you know, I kind of like tapped into my youth and playing football, and this, you know, this guy who I really hated when I was a little kid, who became my best friend, kind of modeled on the Cody character.
Yeah.
And just, you know, kind of wrote the weird kid that I was. And that's how Stupid Fast came about. And then I gave it to my son Leo to read, and, you know, he read it like it was an iPod in 2010 or whatever. And he read it on, and he was like, that was pretty good. You know, will you write another? And I was like, yes, I will. So,
As long as you keep reading.
yeah, that's right. So at first it was just to, you know, just to get my son to read something I thought he'd be interested in. And now, you know, he's already graduated from college now, so he figured out how to read pretty well. Yeah, but that's what it came from. And so kind of mixing my love of sports and like good storytelling came together.
Did you like actually expect to then go out there and like really try and like publish the book and put it out there? Or did you just sort of start writing it first to just have him read a book?
Yeah, I wasn't really sure what it was. You know, I mean, I read some stuff that was kind of like young adult when I was a kid, but there wasn't a whole lot of it. You know, like Catcher in the Rye is got like a quintessential kind of teenager voice, but it's hard. You know, it's a dark book in a lot of ways. And Stupid Fast has got, you know, like you mentioned in your review, it's got a little bit of darkness in there too. But yeah, I actually, so I had an agent who, you know, I sent it to, who you know, worked with me on my first book, and he was like, you know, that's YA. And I thought, but there are no wizards in it, because I kind of had the impression that it, you know, there had to be like wizards or sword play or something in it in order to make it YA. So I wasn't really sure what I had. And then of course it turns out there's a whole big sort of contemporary world of YA as well.
You know, because this book really reminded me of like, do you know Tim Green? Yeah, it reminded me a lot of his books, except it was just a little more mature than like his book style. But I liked it. I feel like this is like it's like a perfect high school book. I feel like it'd be so much more fun if a lot of schools had us read these books instead of the books they make us read. Right now, I'm like trudging through Lord of the Flies, and I'm just like, well, this concept is so interesting, but the way it's written is so boring.
It's old school, right? I mean, the concept is awesome. And I actually wrote a book where the kid was reading Lord of the Flies, and he realized that he was totally incapable of doing anything adult, because all he wanted to do was sort of run around in his underpants. And so like you can take a funny take on Lord of the Flies, but yeah. I wish there were, I mean, some teachers do a really good job, right, of getting the right books into the right kids' hands, and librarians are awesome at it. But yeah, I think generally speaking, you know, Lord of the Flies is great, but it's an old book now, and it would be great to see, because there's so much good stuff out there. Great to see contemporary stuff in the hands of teenagers. Yeah.
Would you say that like Stupid Fast is your most popular book that you've written?
Yeah, for sure. You know, when it came out, it sold a whole bunch, and then it just kind of had legs, and it just kept going and going and going for the course of, you know, it doesn't sell a whole bunch now, but probably like for 5-6 years straight, it just kept just chugging along and selling. So, and for sure, you know, you're a basketball fan, so I'm going to ask you to read Hooper at some point.
Yeah, I saw that was on my list. I saw that.
Yeah, that's probably second. But Stupid Fast is the one that it just, for a long time, it just kept going, and still like half of the, you know, emails I get from students are about Stupid Fast.
Yeah, no, because it's definitely out there. Because the way that I found it is that I was just like my dad, I have a little sister. He's just like, so he's like, okay, let's go to the library. I just put her to, I want to make sure that she's also reading. So I go there and I'm just like, well, I'm like, I need something to read now, I guess. So I went, I'm just looking through like the teen fiction stuff and I'm just like looking for something that looks like semi-entertaining. I said this when well, it has a football player on the front. And I read
Yeah.
like the little thing about it's about. I was like, it seems pretty good. And I read it, and then I was like, whoa, I was like, this is really good. It did surprise me when I saw that there was like 2 and 3.
Yeah, I I mean, right after I wrote the finished Stupid Fast, right away I thought, well, I want to, because Felton has screwed up enough that it's probably going to take a few years to get it right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did write the second and the third, and I think they're both good books,
Mm-hmm.
but they didn't quite get to the same level. There was something like I feel like was special about Stupid Fast.
Did you expect to write a 2 or 3, or like after you wrote one, did you just think I'm like, well, I'm gonna leave it there and then maybe come back to it, maybe not? What were your thoughts on
Yeah,
that?
I wasn't. I mean, I started writing the second one right away after my son said, "Will you write another one?"
Mm-hmm.
But then I didn't have a whole lot. And when the publisher asked, you mentioned this might be a trilogy. Do you want to keep going? I was a little bit like, I'm not sure. It feels Stupid Fast. That sort of like last thing where he's running down the field. It felt
Yeah.
really tied nicely. Like I could see just leaving it there. But yeah, I mean, so I wasn't sure.
I was happy though when I heard that there was another one because I was just like, because it ended right, and I'm so used to reading like there's like one books like that where like it'll just grow the character. Like even it reminded me a lot to like the ending of Wonder,
Oh yeah.
where like the author could have easily continued the story, but like I think RJ Palacio chose not to.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
was like, so then I was like, oh, I was like this, I was like he could easily end it now, and I was like, but then I turned to the next page. I'm like, oh, there's more. Great.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
keep reading this. So no, I
That's
was really happy when I found out there was two of that. So
good.
I know like your second book also won awards as well. Your books have won different awards. You got the Minnesota Book Award, the I believe Cybulus Award. I might be saying that wrong.
Sibbles. Yeah.
Was award. I think Stupid Fast was selected for the Junior Library Guild,
Yeah.
and also Cracking the Bell. Didn't Cracking the Bell just get the Minnesota Award for young?
It won something like, I think it's called the Elizabeth Burr Warzala Award for Outstanding Achievement from Wisconsin. So I was born in Wisconsin and then moved to Minnesota, and it's nice that Wisconsin claimed me as one of their own as well. Yeah.
So, what does it mean to you as like an author and just like as a person when you're like when your books are just so warmly received and when you get awards for it? How does that make you feel, just in general?
Well, I mean, it's easy to kind of think you're a fraud doing this kind of work. And so, one of I think the nice things about it is, it's most important to me that like someone like you read the book, and that's the reason why I write them. When I get one of those awards, it is gratifying to know that, they usually come from librarians who are scanning a whole bunch of books, kind of across the board. And so it's gratifying to know that these are people who read a ton of different things and still like look at one of my books and say, this is special.
This one.
Yeah. And so it's wonderful. It's still not the same gratification that I get, for instance, like, getting a note from you or getting a note from, I've gotten a lot from kids who are like, I hate books and I didn't want to read, but, I wasn't even sure what this book was at the beginning because it takes so long to get going, but at least it made me laugh. And once I was in, I was just in, and I know I want to read more books. And that's why I wrote all of them. And why I think they're important books. But yeah, man, I love it when getting awards cool. Yeah.
It helps just add to like your what's the word? Like the ability that you have as an author to like claim, like I'm an author, my books have gotten like these many awards.
Yeah.
That can always just like help more people. Like sometimes if you're just talking about them, it might make people be like, oh wait, they got awards, it must be really good. And then that just sort of leads to a chain of events which cause more and more and people reading them.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. And this is, I don't like, I don't write books that are ever going to be like huge bestsellers because they're pretty niche, like kids who want to read and also are really into sports. That's so they're never, but if they do get these awards, then I know that more librarians find them, and I know that more teachers find them and start to get them out to the kids who need them. So that it's great. Yeah.
I think that's a growing genre though, because like I think now more than ever, there's a ton of books out there which are like sports and real life.
Yeah.
Like I've met Mike Lupica
Yeah.
as
Sweet.
well, and I mean, yeah, his books
Yep.
are just like that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's a huge market for them now, which is I think great because those are some of the best books to read. I feel like
I agree, and there should be books for people who are into sports, right? I mean, that's to not write to that audience because you think they don't read, or to not publish for that audience because you think they don't read is kind of a crime. People who love sports can be like real book nerds too. I mean, that's what I was. And so it's very nice to see all of those titles out there. And like you say, Tim Green is, I love the warmth in those books as well. Yeah.
yeah. So what would you say is your like ultimate goal as an author? Or do you feel like you've reached everything that you were like hoping to achieve as an author? Or is there anything that you're still looking for?
Yeah. I maybe in the YA space, I have kind of done what I wanted to do. And I don't know, Cracking the Bell it's a pretty adult YA book. I think it's even more adulty than Stupid Fast in some ways. And it really is sort of like wrestling with the dangers of playing football. And that's something, both the dangers and like the incredible benefit that you get from playing football. And I kind of feel like that might be the last thing I have to say. And also, my youngest kid is now 19. So for a decade, I had kids who were in their teens, and I got to hear them speak and got to hang out in high schools and, talk to their friends. And I feel like, so I always had like these funny voices.
Yeah.
Some of the worst stuff I've ever heard and the funniest stuff I've ever heard was like me and my wife trying to go to sleep and our kids all in the living room just saying like kind of horrible stuff, but it was so funny, and I no longer have that. So I think in that space, maybe I'm not sure if I'll write for teens again. But I'll always write fiction because it is just something that I've done since I was probably a first grader. I mean, maybe even before I was telling stories, before I could even write. So yeah.
What book have you like enjoyed working on the most out of all your books?
It's, Stupid Fast that was quite a while ago. Hooper was like a really big surprise to me because I thought I knew what that story was. And then in the middle of it, it kind of all shifted around. And it felt like, in the same way that Stupid Fast, in some ways isn't about sports, is in some ways is really more about the relationships, the family and the friends. Hooper kind of did a shift on as well, where suddenly it felt like it was about something much larger than just a kid who was obsessed with basketball and was tall and was just learning the game. And so, yeah, that book was fun and different. And also, as a basketball fan, I got to spend hours and hours watching like offensive instruction on YouTube's and things like that, which was excellent. So the research was great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because I've also been like getting a couple different basketball books. I'm actually, let's see, is it right here? I am reading the Magic Johnson and Larry Bird.
Oh man,
their book.
yeah.
I'm reading that, and then I'm editing a review. I read like Kobe's book that he wrote.
Okay.
And
is it good? I haven't read it.
It's good. It's like it's like one of those it's practically kind of a picture book, but not like a kid's picture book, because he has like passages, and then he has like every single picture was taken by, I forgot the guy, I think it was Andrew something. He was he's like an NBA Hall of Fame photographer.
Yeah,
so all the pictures are taken by him.
Okay.
And like Kobe like explains his like strategies. Then he goes like player by player and explains how he guarded each player specifically.
Okay. Cool. Wow.
Just stuff like that.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah. Yeah, so Hooper has a lot of like, I watched a lot of the San Antonio Spurs offense, that sort of like weird motion offense that they run.
Yeah, the ton of ball movement.
Yeah, the ball movement. So that was, man, to like learn how that actually works and now be able to see it when teams are running that kind of offense.
Yeah.
It's like, it made me a better NBA fan is what it did. Yeah.
What message do you hope that like your books and your writing spread?
Well, I think
it might be individual to each book, but like, is there like an overall theme that you might be going for?
I think so. And that's that, everybody has got problems. And it's, unfair, I think, to treat anybody badly, without sort of trying to get to know them. And so I guess what I really want to say to readers is, number one, you have no idea what's going on in people's lives, and be kind, right? You need to be kind. I think the second part is kind of always that effort really matters. And that sort of like a good human life is working hard at something that you love. So, one, be kind. Two, find the things you love and pursue them.
That's great. Yeah. Thank you. And I have one last question that I make sure to ask all the authors. Okay. And that is, what advice would you give to somebody who is contemplating whether to write a book or not, or like who has written a book but is afraid to take that leap of faith into trying and publishing it and get it out there? What would you tell them? Yeah,
part of it is, if this is something you love to do, don't stop pursuing it, because it is a difficult business, right? And it is, after you've like written the book, it becomes a business, and it's hard, and oftentimes it's not based on the quality of your work at all. It's based on somebody in a marketing department saying, can we figure out a way to, find readers for this thing? That if you are inclined, and if you are a writer, do not stop. Continue to do this thing that you love, and eventually you'll find the right thing. But you'll find the way to get it published, but don't make publishing the thing that you care most about. Make getting better as a writer the thing that you care most about. And that is a kind of a good recipe, I think, for everything in life, that if there's something you love, continue to pour effort into it, because just that engagement with something human, like, writing, telling stories, has been like sort of at the center of who we are as human beings since we became human beings. Doing something like that well and getting better at it is its own reward. So keep going, and don't get sad when it gets hard, because it's just hard. Yeah.
There you have it, everybody. I mean, that's like some of the best advice you can get especially from somebody who is an experienced author. Again, thank you so much, Mr. Herbach. It was such a pleasure having you on the channel. I cannot
I
express how
appreciate
happy
it.
I am and so thankful that you came on.
Yeah, thanks, Rick, and thanks for being a reviewer. It's important work, so I appreciate what you do.
Thank you. Everybody, I'll see you in the next video.